The lengths people will go in order to cultivate and sell this product is a testament to the plant itself. It is desired by so many. But why? Cannabis has been used as an intoxicant for 5,000 years, first in China. Smoke held in the lungs enters the bloodstream through a network of capillaries. The blood quickly enters the brain, where THC binds to receptors. The first hints of intoxication can be felt within 10 seconds. But no one will experience it the same way. Most commonly, time slows to the user. Space appears fast. Sexuality, spirituality, and the senses all appear enhanced. Euphoria increases, but use can also lead to anxiousness, paranoia, abnormal heart rhythms, and a general sense of uneasiness. Long-term use has also been linked with memory loss, respiratory problems, depression, and adverse impacts on schoolwork and job performance. But the demand remains high, and profits too.
Basically, everybody understood that if we were all trustworthy, good people doing good business honestly, we would all make a lot of money. And the best way to do it was to keep it quiet and keep it low-key and, you know, and share the wealth. As an outlaw, I saw the laws that I was breaking as being laws that weren't fair because drugs are sold in America legally every day, with every sale of alcohol, with every beer that's sold, with every bottle of vodka that's sold, with every fancy bottle of wine that's sold, Americans are dealing drugs.
At age 26, Steele quit the smuggling business with no regrets. 7 years later, one last run got him arrested. He served a 12-month sentence. He was lucky. But there was a time that marijuana would not have gotten you jailed. In colonial Virginia, many households grew cannabis for industrial purposes: rope, cloth, and paper. They called it hemp. Today in Virginia, 2 plants could get you 5 to 30 years imprisonment. The first U.S. law against marijuana use passed in Texas in 1914. Mexican immigrants escaping civil war poured over the border, bringing their local weed with them. Social conservatives rallied. By 1937, cannabis was illegal throughout America. Pot moved underground. In the 1970s, on the heels of the hippie era, President Jimmy Carter endorsed a nationwide decriminalization. But President Ronald Reagan agreed with conservative outcries that marijuana is probably the most dangerous drug in the world.
And today, more arrests are being made and more narcotics are being seized than ever before.
And America's first drug czar went after the marijuana business with unprecedented zeal and a blank check from the White House. Today, the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency classifies marijuana alongside heroin as a Schedule I drug, meaning the harshest drug penalties apply and are enforced. U.S. law enforcement spends billions of dollars a year to combat it. Over 800,000 Americans were arrested last year because of it, almost 90% of them for simple possession. These types of arrests, along with mandatory minimum sentences and 3 strikes you're out laws, have added to an already overburdened prison system. Now, a hugely controversial loophole is pitting state rights against U.S. federal government. They are medical marijuana laws. California was the first U.S. state to pass a medical marijuana law in 1996. The intent was to give relief to deathly ill patients, those suffering from advanced stages of HIV/AIDS and cancer. People like Robin Few.
The doctor took one look at me. He said, "You have lymphoma." Within a couple hours, had me in the hospital, and within a few days, I was doing chemo. So I was shocked. You know, I never thought of cancer. You know, how you don't plan on cancer.
vigorous and active life has been stopped with chemotherapy sessions.
Hey.
Hello, Dr. Abrams.
How are you doing?
Good to
Her
see
oncologist is Don Abrams, who for the past 28 years has seen firsthand how marijuana helps his patients.
Deep breath for me. Cannabis is the only drug that decreases nausea and vomiting and also increases appetite. Mouth open. Also, I think people sleep better, and a little bit of euphoria I don't find is a negative thing in people that are facing malignant diagnoses.
With Abrams' recommendation, Few uses a vaporizer. It heats up the pot, releasing a gas, which is gentler than smoke.
But the best part is yet to come. See, there's all this paper in there. Takes a little while, can sit around and smoke on this baggie for a little while. I never have nausea. I'm hungry all the time. You know, I feel like the more cannabis that I smoke, the less of the narcotics that I take. So that's been really helpful to me. They say I look better than I've looked in 2 years, and that freaks me out because I'm dying of cancer, you know. So.
Shamans, physicians, and pharmacists have dabbled in the notion of marijuana as medicine for thousands of years. But the relief patients feel is largely anecdotal. Marijuana's status as a Schedule I drug means that according to the federal government, it has no accepted medical use. The U.S. government strictly controls all American marijuana studies, and researchers who want to study cannabis must obtain it from this facility at the University of Mississippi. By some accounts, the supply is extremely limited and of questionable quality. And some scientists claim that if their research might show potential positive medical uses, the requests are rejected. It's a charge the government denies. But in other nations, getting cannabis to scientists is less complicated. Israel is among the leaders in medical marijuana research. From his lab bench in Jerusalem, Raphael Meshulam has fathered nearly 2 generations of peer-reviewed medical research. He first discovered THC in 1964.
Cannabis, although it had been investigated, nobody had really isolated it in pure form, and neither were all the other compounds there. So I thought that it's high time that somebody should do that.
For 40 years at Hebrew University, researchers study effects of THC and other cannabinoids on people and laboratory animals. Meshulam dissolves THC in an oil-based solution. In this form, measured doses can be administered accurately. Researchers here have witnessed promising results in the treatments of brain trauma, diabetes, cancers, and osteoporosis.
Cured here.
20-year-old Eyal Preisler underwent a bone marrow transplant a year and a half ago. Since then, his body experiences a chronic quasi-rejection called graft-versus-host disease.
I am
treated by the THC drops for 2 months already, meaning that I just started and I already saw changes. Whether it's the digestive system, the diarrhea that is gone, and my skin that was very hard is now softer and back to its original state. My appetite is back. It really increased the appetite, and I actually gained 4 kilos in the past 2 months. I need to gain a lot more weight to get back to where I was.